Hey guys, yesterday we were talking about the light of life. It's Paul's terminology where he talks about a dark and a depraved world, and God is trusting you and I to carry the light of life into this dark place. He bases it upon the factor of humility, and he speaks about Jesus being, of all people, the most humble. But we have to ask ourselves a question, if we will, about why is the world so depraved? Why is the world so dark? What was it that happened in the Garden of Eden that took us into this dark and depraved place? It's quite easy. It says there in the passage prior to the one that we were talking about, it says Jesus did not find equality with God something to be grasped. Now you can read that in the passage that we've been studying. Go and read from Philippians 2 verse 12 to verse 16, and you read about the depravity of man, and you read about the humility of Christ, the humility of Jesus that enabled him to found for us the basis on how to handle this light of life. Now, we say, why was the garden so dark after this event? You see, Jesus came and he didn't grasp onto equality with God as some would have thought that he should have. And he's God. And he came down as a servant. He left his glory of heaven, and he came down and he suffered in this world, and he lived a humble life. And he did not grasp and hold on to equality with God. You see, back in the Garden of Eden, therein lay the problem. Everybody wanted to be equal with God. And when Satan came along and said to Adam and Eve, hey guys, you know why God has told that you can't eat of the fruit in the middle of the tree in the middle of the garden? Is because he just knows that if you eat of that fruit, you're going to be just like him, and you will know the difference between good and evil, and you'll be just like God. And they thought, man, who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want to be just like God? And they ate of the fruit because they wanted equality with God. And when we try and stand in a place where we want to be equal with God, we're on shaky ground, because there is only one God, and we are not equal to him. He is God. And they thought that they could. And so when we in our arrogance think that we're somebody special, and we try and grasp onto equality, we try and be equal with God, we're in a deep and a dark place, and it's getting deeper and darker. We need to put God back in his rightful place. That's what humility suggests. Let God be God. Let him be sovereign. Let him be the boss. Let him rule. And let us take on our rightful place to serve him and to hold him in incredibly high esteem. When we see God as he really is, not as we sort of sometimes perceive him to be, we have this perception of God being like sometimes a Mickey Mouse little God, a God who we can understand, a God who we can comprehend. That's the kind of God we all want, isn't it? We want a God that we can measure. And when we look and see that God is way beyond that, when we see how dysfunctional we are in comparison to the functionality of a God who is so awesome, we suddenly find our right place. And that's what humility is. To see God as he really is, awesome in power, wonderful in grace. And then we see ourselves in need. We see ourselves as we really are, messed up human beings who happen just to be loved by this awesome God. That has to humble us. If it doesn't, then something's seriously wrong. But we understand the greatness of God in the context of our weakness, in the context of our fallenness, in the context of our finiteness. Let's see God in a different light. Let's not strive after being more like him from a point of equality. Let's strive to be more like Jesus from the point of view of humility. And out of that will grow everything that we will talk about tomorrow and the next day. But in the meanwhile, people, have a good day. Focus on the greatness of who God is, the wonder of who he is. At church on Sunday, I used the example of Isaiah, who knew about God. He was a prophet. And when he had that vision of God high and lifted up, and God's train filling the temple, his life was never the same again. Let's do the same. Let's see God high and lifted up, and I guarantee our response will be just like Isaiah's, flat on your face, humility, and seeing God as he really is. Hope that becomes our portion and our experience. You have a good day. Bye-bye.